Zian. He is an independent growth consultant who helps jewelers build a scalable and profitable e-commerce and omni-channel business after 20 years of experience in the industry. He has consulted several jewelers and startups since 2020. He has authored and published numerous articles on jewelry e-commerce in his blog mywisdomlane.com and in leading jewelry magazines. In the past, he has worked as a business head for a jewelry startup, head of jewelry category at eBay India, e-commerce head for a leading national jeweler, and much more. Gem Atlas is a global B2B networking platform for the gems and jewelry industry. We help you connect with businesses and professionals around the world. You can easily start generating new business leads through our platform. We are honored to have this discussion, and the topic for today is how to build a scalable and profitable online jewelry business. There will be a question and answer session button at the bottom. Please feel free to enter your questions and have them answered at the end of the presentation. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gem Atlas, for this opportunity. So let me begin with two of the most powerful quotes on internet that I've found. One is by Bill Gates. It says, if your business is not on the internet, your business will be out of business. This quote talks about the disruptive nature of internet, how digital is replacing the traditional brick and mortar business. Although the impact is different in different industries, I've taken an example of mobile phones in India. More than 50% of mobile phone sales has already shifted online. In jewelry product and high involvement product, the online jewelry is expected to continuously increase. We'll talk about more in the following slide. Let's look at the second quote. It's from Steve Jobs. It says the smallest company in the world can look as large as the largest company on the web. It talks about how internet provides a level playing field to everyone. Even a startup can compete with the biggest business at the same platform online. I'll give you an example. For a startup, it might be difficult to open a large flagship showroom in a high street right next to a national jeweler. But a startup can easily have their digital presence either on social media, on their own website, or even in a marketplace next to any large jeweler. So that's the power of internet. In this slide, I've tried to compile a list of 20 of the most popular, more precious jewelry e-commerce websites in the world. This list is compiled from Alexa Global Rank data from 24th September. Alexa ranks the visitors count of these websites in the last 3 months. So now take a look at the top 20 precious jewelry websites. The ones marked in yellow are digital first brands. For example, Blue Nile started in 1999 as a digital first jewelry company. Now, if you look at all these yellow highlighted digital first brands, a lot of them have expanded into physical stores as well. I've given a count. This rank does not indicate, and not all companies are included. I've highlighted in comments in the right hand side the details. So coming to the today's agenda, we are going to cover 5 key questions today. Why go online for jewelers who have a offline presence are still contemplating, is it worth going online? We'll cover a few insights here. Then we'll talk about how to go online. Those who have decided to go online, but wondering whether to start with an online marketplace, through their own website or social media, we're going to share some more insights in the second question. Third one, how to grow online. If you're already online, but you're not happy with your sales, we're going to talk about what you could do to further increase your sales. Fourth question is, how do you grow online profitably? Let's say you're able to increase your sales, but you're still not profitable or you're not happy with the profits. So that's what we would deal in the fourth question. And the fifth one, if you're still profitable, you are growing, but you are still running an online business, not a brand. So we'll touch upon how to build a brand and not just a business. Why go online? So I'll quickly touch upon this and move to the next slides. From a consumer perspective, consumer has already gone online. They want to buy anything, anytime, and anywhere. They want to browse online before buying, and they rely more on reviews than on brand ads, visibility, and lose out on their competitiveness. Market opportunity perspective, as I said, the jewelry category as compared to mobile category has lesser penetration online, but still you see globally 8% of total jewelry business has already shifted online. In India, the figure is relatively lesser, but in next 4 years, by 2025, we expect it to be $3.7 billion market. The third point you would see is more than 50% of diamond jewelry purchase is already influenced by online. So it is not just how much jewelry is sold online, but people are browsing online. And today the discovery is happening online, the evaluation is happening online, and maybe the purchase can happen either online or offline. And lastly, from a jeweler's perspective, you can sell your products globally 24/7, and you can sell first and then make, which means you can reduce your inventory holding cost, your dead stock, by putting pictures of high value items. Not all items you need to keep in stock. This slide talks about the online opportunity from the value chain for designer, manufacturer, and wholesaler as well. That's D2C. I'll give you a statistics. In US in 2020, the share of Amazon, which is one of the largest online marketplaces in the world, has come down from 37% to 31%. And the increasing share is from Shopify, which has empowered a lot of merchants and manufacturers to become D2C brands and sell directly to end users. Their share of Shopify has increased from 6% to 15%, clearly indicating the interest of merchants and manufacturers to sell directly to end users. What you get is benefit of selling to domestic customers as well as international customers. You get higher sales and higher margins by eliminating the middlemen. So that's the opportunity with online. At this point, we have one more poll to understand the profile of the current audience, whether they're designers, manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, or others. Request you to kindly take this poll. This is very interesting poll. I could see majority of the participants are manufacturers, then retailers, designers, and others in this audience. Thank you for taking the poll. We'll move to the next question. And we only had 2 polls, so we won't be taking any more polls. So we come to how to go online. So I read a quote from Richard L. Evans. It says, your direction is more important than your speed. In online, if you're starting online, the 2 things you need to first decide on: what product category you want to sell and which channel you want to start with. I've tried to put together 4 key categories. There are a lot more categories within jewelry. 30,000 rupees in US, it could be less than $1,000, and high price precious jewelry. These product categories and the color code indicate the potential to build a scalable and profitable retail business. So if you see, the lower the price point and less assisted selling requirement, for example, imitation jewelry or silver jewelry, you'll see higher dominance of online marketplace and online own website. And in terms of higher price precious jewelry, the physical store would dominate. Even in physical store, the sale would be online influence. You would still need to digitize your inventory so that customers can, at their convenience, sit at home, browse the inventory, do the evaluation, and come back to the store for final orders. Note that this indication of the color code does not show the size of each category or their sales in online marketplace or on websites. It shows the potential to build a new scalable or profitable business. This slide shows how to go online from a longer time perspective. So eventually you would see a lot of digital first companies in India, for example, CaratLane, Bluestone, or Melora, who started digitally, but now they are aggressively expanding their physical store presence as well. Eventually, you would see an omni-channel presence. I will explain it. Let's say in this chart, I've given an example of an offline retailer who has no online presence. The evolution to omni-channel may not be in the exact sequence, but I've put some sequence, some steps to communicate and talk more about the company, the display its products, the price, describe the product so that consumers sitting at home can take a look at the company's products. So that's a pure online presence. Then social media presence, it's about digital engagement. You can actually interact with the consumer, educate them about your products, keep them informed about new offers, or even take their feedback on your products or sales. So you build a community of your followers. Then e-commerce, you start selling, you integrate payment gateway on your brand website, and you start taking orders online, or you also register on online marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, where you can start promo products. Multi-channel, after your own physical store, online store, or marketplace, you can also decide to have your own mobile app. You can sell on social media, on WhatsApp, or even take orders over the phone. Omnichannel is basically doing all the multiple channels in a correct way, which means a seamless experience among all channels. For example, if a customer is browsing online website, likes a product, you should be able to check whether that product is available in which store. Once you integrate all these channels, it gives a very seamless experience. So I say omnichannel is retail is a marathon and not a sprint. So it would be over a period that any jeweler or any retailer would evolve to an omnichannel player. We come to the next question: how to grow online? Marketing and innovation are two critical elements for going online. Marketing is to create awareness of your products, and innovation is to stay relevant to the market. If you do not have a great product, great marketing alone may not help. And if you have a great product, but if you're not doing a great marketing, the people would not know about your product. So these are two fundamental key elements for online success. I've taken an example of online marketplace and own website, and let's see how marketing and innovation play in these two cases. In online marketplace, there are thousands or even lakhs of sellers competing against each other. The millions of products, let's say jewelry, listed on the same marketplace. The question is, how do you get visibility to your product? So the keyword optimization, understanding what are the keywords that consumers are searching for, and having those in your product titles or in your listings would help you rank higher. So usually if you are ranking in the first or second page of the search results, you would see higher sales. Just shifting your listings or your appearance from second page of search result to the first page can increase your sales by a couple of times. And also in the same page, if you can come on the top of the search results, it can further increase your sales by 5 to 6 times. The more visibility you get, you increase your sales, and the more sales increases, the marketplace will rank your products higher. So it's a loop, it's a perpetual cycle through which, by increasing visibility of your product and by selling more, having the right product at the right price, you will be able to increase your ranking and hence continuously increase and grow your sales. Let's see how it works in own website. Unlike in a marketplace where the traffic is generated by the marketplace itself, in case of own website, you have to spend on marketing, SEO, ACM. I'll cover more in detail in next slide to generate traffic to your own website. Once the traffic comes to the site, then it's about conversion. How do you convert the traffic into a sale? And lastly, how do you deliver a post-purchase experience to the customer so that he comes back as a new traffic to your website? So that's a cycle for your own website, and doing all these things correctly will continuously grow your sales. Now, I've also highlighted in online marketplace, what is important to succeed is lower price or a unique product. As I said, there are lakhs of products available on the online marketplace. The more unique products you have, or you're able to offer a better price, you will win the customers. Now, in case of your own website, you can offer more personalized service or customized products, which you may not be able to give in online marketplace. Excuse me. Yeah. So one more distinction is I had some of the questions that came before the session, and someone asked how much investment is required to go online. So if you have a dedicated team and a good marketing budget, then you could venture into your own website, e-commerce site. But if you have limitation in terms of team size and marketing budget, it is advised to start with an online marketplace. In this slide, I've talked about the growth levers that will help you grow your sales in an online marketplace or in own website. I'll touch upon quickly on this slide. In online marketplace, first you need to increase your visibility, as I said, increase the number of listings, the product title with the right keywords, keep multiple price point products available. You can use sponsored ads or featured deals to come on the top inorganically. And also, if you're doing well, you can get a prime seller or a top rated seller rating that helps you further raise your visibility. How do you increase conversion in online marketplace? People online are buying based on the picture. They do not see the real product. So the quality of the image, the number of images that you are displaying, 360-degree view, or a product with a model picture helps to get a complete view of the product. The descriptions, the attributes help further making a decision. How competitive the price, the offers that you're running, the customization option in terms of metal color or ring sizes help you increase your conversion. How fast you are able to deliver, the kind of customer ratings you've got, the reviews you have got, and whether you have a brand store or a generic store adds to the image of your seller account. Now looking at own website, as I said, it starts with getting traffic. So you have to focus on marketing, SEO, SEM, SMM, SMS, the various marketing options. You can try blogs or through influencers. And once you have a traffic, you can do remarketing, email marketing to the database. For offline jewelers going online, my suggestion is to start with your existing database. This is a common mistake they do. They start with a fresh, targeting new customers, but your existing customers are more likely to come back and buy from you. So start with your existing database and obviously then expand into new customer database. Increasing conversion in online own website, you would have to do all the things that you're doing in an online marketplace. But in addition to that, you have to take care of the technology part now. The landing page is the most important, plays the most important role in your own website. The first impression that a visitor gets in the landing page, how fast the page is opening makes a lot of difference. Then how fast the consumer is able to find what they're looking for. The navigation, the filter options, the search options that you're giving in your website makes a lot of difference. And finally, the trust of the website. In online marketplace, even if you're a new seller, customers may not hesitate to buy because they trust the online marketplace. But in your own website, you would have to work extra hard to build that trust if you're not already an established jeweler with a physical presence. Now let's move to the next question, how to grow online profitably. There are two slides in this. The first one is focus on building your USP, unique selling proposition. So people will buy from you instead of any other competitor only when you have a unique selling proposition. What is a USP? It is how are you able to solve a burning problem or a need or a want of a customer in a unique way that your competitor is not able to solve. Either you have a highest range of designs or you're the best price. You have to compete on your USP. For brands or sellers who do not have a USP, run a risk of becoming a commodity brand. And then you compete purely on price, and that erodes your margins. So if you want to command a higher margin, you have to build an USP. Coming to the next slide on how to grow profitably, I'll talk about customer acquisition cost. How do you reduce your customer acquisition cost? So customer acquisition cost is nothing but how much marketing or advertising spend you're doing to convert one customer. So you can look at your monthly budget spend, let's say, is 1 lakh rupees. And if you are able to get 100 customers in a month, so you divide 1 lakh by 100 and you get 1,000 rupees as your cost of customer acquisition. Now, initially, when you start your online journey, you may see your cost of acquiring a customer is higher than your profits you're generating from the first transaction. So, which means it cost you 1,000 rupees to acquire a customer, and you may not make 1,000 rupees margin in the first sale. Excuse me. So, the way to look at it is lifetime value of the customer. The lifetime value is how long on an average the customer shops from you in a lifetime. For example, if you have a 10% attrition rate of your customer, or a churn of a customer every year, which means average lifetime value of a customer is 10 years. So you have to look at, for a lifetime, how many times the customer is coming to you and buying, and total how much profit are you generating. If you are able to increase your lifetime value higher than your cost of acquiring a customer, then you turn profitable. So the objective is not just driving traffic and converting. Your profitability depends on how you are able to get a repeat customer. They say selling to an existing customer is 6 to 7 times cheaper than acquiring a new customer. So the focus on is not only on acquiring a new customer, but how do you generate repeat sales? Besides this, I've also talked about how to optimize your marketing cost, how do you increase your conversion rate, and finally, get repeat sales or referrals. I have articles on my website which talks in more detail on how to increase your conversion rate. Now, coming to the final question, how to build an online B2C jewelry brand, a D2C jewelry brand. So I saw a lot of audience were interested in this slide. Unfortunately, I have only one slide, but I have a lot of content to show. What is the difference between a business and a brand? How do you make a brand? So let's look at the first point. A business is where you bring customers, while a brand is when your customer brings customers. So far we saw to increase your sales, you have to bring traffic, you have to convert, and then you have to get repeat sales. But if you want to become a brand, is when your customer becomes your advocate and talks about your brand positively, and you get new customers through referrals. So that's when you become a brand. A business is profit driven. So most of the business in the world, the goal is to make money, but brands exist beyond the reason of making money. There's a purpose behind a brand. So if you have a compelling story that you are selling jewelry not just to make money, but there's a compelling story attached to it, that's where you will start to resonate with your audience and differentiate from a Me Too seller. Third point is focus on driving sales. The business's focus is on driving sales, whereas brand, the focus on building a reputation. If you focus on driving sales, short term you will get sales. But if you build a good reputation, it will give you sales for years to come. Fourth is transactional relationship. When you focus on sales, the relationship with the customer is very transactional in nature. But when you focus on solving a particular customer problem, you are purpose driven. The relationship is very emotional, and you build a deeper connection with your consumers. Next point, if you're transactional in nature, you compete usually based on price. Whereas if you build a brand, you probably compete on experience or some other elements, and you can command a higher price. You have a USP, you command a higher price, and because of your trust that you have built over a period of time. Businesses are usually Me Too products, but a brand focuses on providing a unique and innovative products to the customers. So to stay relevant, as I said in the beginning, there's a marketing and innovation. Brands focus on continuously reinventing and staying relevant to their consumers, understanding what are the burning problems of the customers, and continuously innovating. And lastly, business would be inconsistent branding, as in they would try all means to grow business, but a brand would stick to its philosophy, its focus, which is the purpose, the goal, and consistently deliver the same experience, and that's how you become a brand. So I think I've covered all the 5 questions that I had prepared. Now we can open the Q&A session. So I see there are a couple of questions here. The first one is, what is the average cost of customer acquisition you have seen for online jewelry businesses? So I assume this would be for selling in your own website. The answer would differ based on the nature of product. For example, if you're selling a fashion jewelry, the cost of acquiring customer would be very different from if you're selling a very high-end jewelry. So cost of customer acquisition, let's understand how it works. So when you sell a jewelry, you have to drive traffic on your website. And usually, the traffic cost would vary from, let's say, 10 rupees to 50 rupees to 100 rupees for per traffic if you are getting the traffic through PPC. And based on my experience with jewelry industry, the conversion rate is usually less than 1%. It could be even 0.5% or 0.2%, depending on, and the higher the value of the product, you will see even lesser conversion rate. So there is no standard cost of customer acquisition, but you have to, as a benchmark, you need to look at if you are able to get 2x sales of your advertisement spend in the beginning, it's a good start. Because in the beginning, when you spend on advertising, you're building awareness with the consumer, and you cannot expect the immediate conversion when it would take time for people to know your products. They may not be ready to buy immediately, but over a period of time, you will see conversion rate increasing. The second question is, what marketing channels, according to you, work best for acquiring customers online? So I would say you would need to do a 360-degree marketing, not focus on just one channel. So SEO is a must, because over a period of time, you will get organic traffic from it. But initially, try search engine marketing in Google, do display ad marketing, and also do lookalike target marketing in Facebook or social media to generate traffic. Once you have a database, then SMS, email marketing also works. So I would say a 360-degree marketing where you are reaching out to consumers in wherever channels your audience is present is important. So the question is, I have an online business, but find it difficult to sometimes grow online. What are 3 key points you suggest? I think, as I covered in my presentation, a lot of times I saw jewelers trying to sell their products, but there are 2 things. As I mentioned, you need a great product and great marketing. Trust me, these are the only 2 elements. If you have a great product, then you need to communicate the USP, how the product is better than any other competition, the occasions where it can be used, and you need to do a right target marketing. For example, you have a great product, but you are targeting a wrong target segment, you would not see conversions. So just focus on 2 things. Have a great product, understand who is your target segment, what are the problems or what are the wants, desires, and needs, come up with the right product, and communicate, engage with them. Do not try to sell them. No one wants to be sold. If you can talk the benefits of your product, just don't show the features of your product, how the product is good. Talk about how the product would make the consumer look better or feel better. What are the USPs of your product that will benefit the customer? You will see higher conversion. This says, hi, I'm from India. How do we make it easier for customers to buy jewelry online, since people still are not completely comfortable buying expensive items like this? Yes, I would agree with you. Not everyone is comfortable buying online. There is a learning curve, and there's adaptation frequency. There are early adopters and there are late adopters. In India, I'll give you statistics. 12% people buy online compared to 69% people in US that are buying online. So it's a journey. In next 5 years or 10 years, I see there's a 5x opportunity in online penetration. More and more people would buy online. But still, let's look at the leading examples of CaratLane, Bluestone, Candere. They're able to sell jewelry online. There are even other traditional jewelers who have gone online are able to sell online. I'll give you my example. When I started selling jewelry online, it was back in 2010, when I was part of a corporate strategy team of a national jeweler. And while reviewing multiple businesses, I came across the e-commerce team. It was a 2-member team, and I saw a 2 lakh rupee worth diamond necklace getting sold online back in 2010, 11 years back. So, which means there is a potential customer in some corner of the country where they are aspiring for beautiful jewelry, but they do not have access to it in their local area. So if you go online, you would be surprised the potential of converting sales. And yes, as I mentioned, US is more advanced. Do try, depending on the product category, do try selling through eBay or Amazon or Etsy. There's a phenomenal opportunity in cross-border trade. I'll give one example. Out of total e-commerce in the world, 62% e-commerce is controlled by online marketplaces. This is not only for jewelry, across all categories. So that's the potential with online marketplaces. And cross-border trade is currently about 20% of global e-commerce. So this is a huge opportunity for Indian jewelers to sell not only in India, but across the world, and make not just an Indian brand, but a global brand. And that's possible with D2C. What is the best way for marketing after setting up a complete online venture? So I think I covered this as a 360-degree marketing. But yes, when you are starting online marketing, I would caution you not to go heavily or aggressive on marketing, because there's a lot of optimization needs to be done. When you start with a bigger audience, but slowly you have to filter and see which location, geography, or age group, or which channel is working better for you, and continuously optimize. Then you have to optimize your own website also to see, in the funnel, the traffic that is coming to your home page or the landing page, then moving to the product page, going to the checkout page. So where are they dropping off? You have to study the bounce rate and accordingly increase your marketing. So this is a very interesting question. In the beginning, I must make an e-commerce website or a normal site for medium prices precious jewelry. So this depends on your objective. If you want to have a digital presence, as I showed the evolution of omni-channel journey, have a brand website, and share the link with your existing customers or promote that, let people get familiar with the product. But trust me, if you want to build an e-commerce site, as I mentioned, have budgets for marketing, or have a team, for dedicated team managing e-commerce. I'll share examples. Some of the jewelers that I've come across, they have spent lakhs of rupees building a website, but they're not getting sales because they're not spending on marketing. So do not build a e-commerce website and expect sales if you do not have budget for marketing. So I would caution, if you want to seriously venture into e-commerce through your own website, it is a longer term game. Or you can build an e-commerce website, and if you're happy with gradually, organically increasing your sales, you can do your social media and drive a traffic to your own e-commerce site, do SEO, and slowly increase your sales. The next question is how to deal with logistic because product is high in price. See, this was an issue back in 2010 as well, and currently as well. But the degree of the challenge has significantly reduced because the ecosystem is also evolving. Now you can easily send products through Sequel, Blue Dart. There are a lot of logistic companies that do precious jewelry shipping in India. And you can also do a block insurance so that you take care of the risk in shipping. But having said that, there are still pockets within India where logistic could be an issue. But I think it's a gradual process, and once you get into the business, I'm sure there would be a way you will figure out as the ecosystem continuously evolves. Let's go to the next question. How do we handle returns with jewelry? It can be really expensive. This I really love this question, and let me for a moment ask you to pose as a consumer. You are buying from a jewelry website. You are looking only at the product. Let's say you are buying a ring, and the product arrives to you in the right condition. Now, it could be that the ring size does not fit you, or it could be the jewelry does not look as similar as it was in the image. So there would be genuine customers who want to return the product, because after making a purchase in online, you make upfront payment. Imagine after making a payment, waiting for 7 to 10 days for the jewelry to arrive, and after that the jewelry doesn't fit you. And if you, as a e-commerce company, if you are not giving a very customer-friendly return policy, the customer would not have a good experience and may not come back to you. So to answer your question, how to handle returns, it is I would say necessary evil. You have to accept returns. What you have to do is you have to offer 30 days or 60 days return policy, without which a customer will not buy from you, or even if he buys, the conversion would be very low. So you have to start with very friendly return policy. But whenever a return happens, just dig deeper into the case, and find out what was the reason for the return. And once you start working on the reasons, you will significantly reduce the return cases. Excuse me. In terms of being expensive, yes, return can be expensive, but the way to handle it is you factor the cost of return into the price. You increase the price with whatever percentage, 2%, 3%, overall cost of return. So look at the total sales that you're doing in a month. How much is the cost of return? Somewhere you have to factor it within the gross margin itself. Either you absorb it or partially pass it on to the customer. What do you think about hiring influencers to drive traffic to your business? Yes, I think this is a very good channel of increasing awareness of your products using the popularity of influencers. There are 3 types of influencers. One is celebrity influencers. There are expert influencers. People are experts in jewelry. They have a follower base. You can use them. And then there are micro influencers, people who tend to have a good peer group, who have a good network or social media following. You can use this influencers to talk about your product, and it's a very economic way of reaching out to your customers through stories. When you talk about your own product versus you have influencers talk about your product, they narrate it in a way of story, which is much more relatable for the customers. Next question: what are some tips that you can give to increase conversion of visits on the website to actual sales? I have a detailed article for this on my website, mywisdomlane.com. I would encourage you to read that. And as I said, there are a lot of parameters. It's like a funnel. The first funnel layer of the funnel is awareness. Customer is aware of your product. When you spend on digital marketing, customer clicks on it, they come to your website. That's a step 1. But coming to the website, they want to find what they're looking for. So how easy is it to find the product in your website? The exact product that they're looking for depends on whether they move to the product page. And from the product page, a lot of criteria is there: the picture quality, the packaging, the delivery speed. A lot of factors play a role. And of course, in terms of high value jewelry, there would be chat, video chat, assistance is required for them to interact and clarify their doubts before they actually convert. So there are a lot of parameters for conversion, which I've already covered in my article. Having a strong social media presence, according to you, is it sufficient to only have a highly optimized website? Well, I think social media presence is an absolute must currently. Let's again, as I said, whenever you have such a question, for a moment, jump into the shoes of the customer and see how does he behave. Where does the customer spend majority of the time? The customer spends majority of time on social media, not a brand website. So the discovery of your product will happen on mediums like social media. Once they discover, then they will come to your website, or they have a need, then they will come to your website. So I've read a statistics I'll share with you. Out of 100 target customers from your audience, only about 3% of the audience is ready to transact at any point of time. Remaining 97% are not ready to transact immediately. But that does not mean they are not ready to consume information. So by being present on social media, what you do is you are not just trying to sell them. You engage them, either educate them, you excite them with your product, you inspire them by sharing your customer stories, people who use the product. You basically keep them engaged, and the moment there's a need that arises, the first thing they will come is to the brand that they love, that they're interacting on social media. I hope that answers your question. Next question is, how much cost marketing monthly for a good website? Again, this is a very subjective question, the cost of marketing. If you are starting, it totally depends how much budget you have. But as I said, for jewelry, expect 1x or 2x sales of the total marketing that you're doing. If you get that, it's a good number to start with. Over a period, if you optimize, then bring your cost of acquisition to maybe 10% or even lower, depending on the volume of traffic you're able to generate. Which is the best category to start in international market? Jewelry accessories or finished jewelry, either in marketplaces or on own website. So international marketplaces, I would recommend start with online marketplace, because they already have a existing buyer base, and the trust of the international buyers on the online marketplace. If you open your own website in an international market, you would have to spend on marketing for a longer period of time to build that trust. Coming to the category that you want to sell, I think looking at the statistics from Amazon and eBay, what is selling mostly in international online websites are fashion jewelry. Excuse me. There's a silver jewelry. Recently, lab-grown diamonds are doing very well on Amazon.com. And of course, diamond jewelry, there's a loose gemstones, especially from Indian sellers. They are also doing very good. So your question is whether finished jewelry or jewelry accessories. See, it's a marketplace. There are millions of traffic coming. So what you need to look at is two parameters. The product category you are getting in, is this a big market for it? And there are online softwares, research tools available like Terapeak or for Jungle Scout for Amazon, where you can go and research what products are in high demand. The keywords you can search there. So first look at, is there a demand for that category? And then look at the competition. Is it an overcrowded market? Are you having something unique? Do you have a lower price point or some unique product? You study that so that you know what is the sweet spot for you to compete and win the marketplace. I hope that answers your question. Which social media platform do you suggest is the most beneficial and how to go about using it? So I think Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. So you have to use all the social media platforms, because and I won't say it's a generic answer for all products. For example, if you are using very high-end jewelry, so you have to start from knowing who is your target customer, understand their behavior, where are they spending their time, which social media platform they are spending more time with, And the other smarter way of doing it is look at who are the biggest competitor for your brand. Study their online behavior. Where are they promoting? See, it's winning in the online business is not just winning the customer, but you also have to keep an eye of the competitor, because you have to outsmart the competitor as well. So keep an eye on the customer, where they are spending time, and also in the competitor, what they're doing. You don't have to follow exactly what the competition is doing, but only once you follow, you know how you can outsmart them. Next question is, how often do you think we should send out emailers, SMS marketing? Because sometimes it may affect losing clients too. Okay, so yes, there is a degree beyond which multiple emailers or SMS could appear as spam. So you need to apply judgment there. But I would say more than the frequency of the email or SMS, do it basis the relevancy of the email or SMS. If you can micro segment your audience, send more targeted emails to the audience. The same email may not go to all the audiences. The same SMS, excuse me, may not go to all the audience. So your existing customers, you may send a different email based on the previous buying behavior. New customers, you may use different SMS or email. So use micro targeting and very personalized email or SMSs for better response. Okay, this is a very unique question, a very important question I have. What is the role of virtual try-on in this market? Okay, this again, I answer most of these questions by posing myself as a consumer. It becomes very easy and practical. See, as a consumer, if you are buying a jewelry, you would want to buy the jewelry not because the jewelry looks beautiful. You want to buy the jewelry that because the jewelry would look beautiful on you. I'll repeat the answer. Let's say when we go to a lifestyle store, let's say when I go to buy a shirt, we pick up a couple of clothes that we like because the shirts look good, but we go to a trial room and try them, and we finalize either one, or at times we don't like any of them. So what happened? A moment before, we liked 3-4 shirts, but when we tried, we didn't like any of them. Which means we do not buy the shirt because the shirt looks nice. We like it. We buy it because the shirt makes us look nice. So similarly, having a virtual try-on would help the buyer see how the jewelry looks good on them. And I would suggest this is a very good option. Just ensure that technicality does not drop the experience, so that it should not take too much time to load. So you have to take care of the experience, because that should not negatively impact the buyer experience. But otherwise, I think it's a good tool. So we'll pause here. Gematlis team, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. I think it's been such an informative session and very engaging. We thank you for your valuable time and expertise. We would also like to thank the audience, and we hope that you also enjoyed the session and can use this knowledge to the best of your advantage in your respective businesses. If you have any further questions, you can always email us at info@gematlas.com, and we will forward the same to Deepak. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.